今週もお疲れ様です。はい、今日は狐祭りということでベッカーさんに登場いただきたいと思います。
Hello.
Up. How are you?
Good. Thank you.
Good to see you, my friend.
Yeah, good to see you.
It's a very busy time. We are emptying barrels. We are emptying the 20 Pinot vintage.
Oh.
So it's a lot of work to do. And we have a lot of visitors in the last weeks because now as people are allowed to travel again, it's everybody wants to visit and it's crazy at the moment. The whole history goes back quite a long time. I'm generation number 7 as a winemaker in the family, but the winery as it exists today was established by my father in 1972 because we had because of World War II, we had no winery from 1940 when our town was completely destroyed until 1972. My grandfather, after Second World War, he joined the cooperative because all the infrastructure was gone, all the buildings were destroyed. So they joined force, the winemakers in town, and joined the cooperative. So this is why we had this interruption of a couple of years. But my father re-established the winery as it exists today. So we bottle our own wines. We are specialized in Pinot, which is a little bit uncommon in Germany, right? We have, nowadays more than 65% Pinot Noir and a lot of Chardonnay, a lot of Pinot Blanc, Pinot Gris, some Riesling. We have history of Pinot Noir growing for more than 800 years in our town. So there's for a good reason, because we have limestone soils that are perfectly suited to the Pinot varieties here around our town of Schweigen. Yeah, because it didn't like to deliver the grapes to the cooperative and to see like the grapes disappear in a very, very big tank. And he knew that my grandfather made his own wines before World War II, and he knew about the history and about what happened before, and he said he had his goal. He wanted to go back to where my grandfather was. But it was quite back in the days, in the early 70s, it was a crazy decision because the cooperative was very safe. The cooperative paid good prices. You just had to deliver the grapes and then you're good, then you get your money. So it was the easy way, and it was good money in the 70s. But he wanted something else. He said, we have a long tradition for producing wine, for producing Pinot. And so he had his goal, and he was working very hard for it. And it took a very long time for him to be able to support the family with winemaking, because he was producing very dry wines, which was very uncommon in the early 70s. The Pfalz, so especially the southern Pfalz region where we are located, was famous for producing cheap sweet wine.
Sweet wine.
Cheap and sweet, and a lot of big production, right? A lot of grapes per hectare. So he did the extreme opposite of what was common back in the days. So he had to struggle really hard to get along with it. So he supported the family. He was mainly a pig farmer. So this was the main income stream for the family up until he got the winery running. But it took a long time to be successful. Yeah, it's because we have limestone soil around our town. It's very special. It's a very special spot. We have all around our town. We have more like red sandstone soil and more heavy clay soils. But in the very best vineyards, we have limestone, and that's just perfect for the Pinot variety. We have kind of the same soil conditions like the Burgundy region in France. The climate is quite similar. We are a little bit colder than Burgundy. But we have special microclimates that are just perfect for Pinot. So, and the monks that established the Pinot more than 800 years ago, they knew, because they came from Burgundy, and they found this spot around our town and around the town of Weissenburg. It's the first town on the French side. then they found that it's just perfect for Pinot and started to grow Pinot. And now here we are. And speaking for us and for Pinot making, it's important to know that we produce Pinot in a very basic, old school style. So we don't do much to the grapes. It's really like 95% of the quality of the wine comes from the vineyard. It's the vineyard work, it's the soils. And in the winery, we do very little to the grapes. So we hand harvest everything. Then we open ferment the Pinots. Sometimes we add stems, some whole cluster. Sometimes it depends on the vintage and on the vineyard. Then we ferment, and then the wine goes to the barrel, and we'll get it. We let it age in the barrel, and then we bottle the wine. That's it, basically. So we don't do much.
Yeah, it's very
right. It's a very hands-off approach. Very old school and basic. Yes, we have quite a few vineyard sites. We vinify every vineyard site separately. Some of the more basic ones get blended together for the basic Pinot Noir and for Pinot Noir B. We have 2 Premier Cru wines and then a couple of Grand Cru wines. So all small sites. Most of them actually are a monopole for the winery. And we vinify all of them separately. And it's the beauty of Pinot Noir that you have. We treat the grapes all the same from the different vineyards. We do the same thing. We use the same oak. We have the same fermentation. Everything is the same, but you have completely different wines. Even when the vineyard sites are very close to each other, because you have the different microclimate, the different soil types, very small differences in the vineyards, in the soil, and the outcome of the wine is like completely different. And that's why it's so much fun to work with Pinot Noir, right? Because it reacts so extreme to the soil, and it's very fragile. It's really it's like the hardest grape to work with as a winemaker, because when you make a mistake, you will suffer for it. So you really have to be very careful all the time, and it's a lot of fun to work with Pinot Noir. Same for Chardonnay, by the way. For me, Chardonnay is like the equivalent. It's like the same thing as a white wine grape than Pinot Noir. It's the same story. It reacts very, very, very much to the soil and to its treatment by the winemaker. Yeah, it's our second big thing, I would say. So we planted quite a few Pinots in very good vineyard sites to see how it will be. We will have the first vintage of our St. Paul Chardonnay, 2019. We just bottled it last year. So it's really, there's a lot more potential for Chardonnay, I say. And this year in May we will have green crafting action. So we will use old vines in very good vineyard sites and green craft from Riesling to Chardonnay. So in Premier Cru and in Grand Cru sites. So we will use the old roots. And we will put on top, we will put Chardonnay. And so we will see, it's the 2023 vintage. We will have the first harvest of this action that we do in this May. So I'm very excited about this. We don't know yet. I would like to keep it for myself.
Okay.
We don't have a release date yet. So it was bottled last year. And we don't know yet. Maybe next year. So this is something where we want to show as well the potential, because it's like really, it's a different level when you compare to our Mineral Chardonnay, for example, which is our top Chardonnay at the moment. And you can really see it's like a huge difference. It's just another level of quality, I would say, for the St. Paul. So we wanna hold it back a little bit. Don't sell it too early. It's all of the Grand Crus are grown on limestone soil, but the big difference is always the topsoil on top of the limestone rocks. and then the microclimate, of course, of the different vineyards. Starting with our newest Grand Cru, which is it's not even classified, but it will be classified as a Grand Cru. It's our La Bellevue.
Yeah.
First vintage is 2014. It's the highest elevation of Grand Cru that we have, and so you have always to compare to the other Grand Crus, it has the highest acidity. And it's not a south-facing vineyard side, but it's a southeast-facing vineyard side. So it's a little bit more cool, a little bit less sun. Then we have the Heidenreich and St. Paul that are quite close to the Bellevue, but they are lower. The elevation is not as high. And there we have at the St. Paul and the Heidenreich, we have very, very little topsoil on top of the rocks. So it's a very rare soil. So the vine has to fight really hard to get water and nutrients. So you have, by nature, you have a very small quantity of grapes every year. And the wines are very elegant and very filigree because of the little topsoil. And the Kammerberg, which is another Grand Cru, it's completely different in style because Kammerberg has very heavy topsoils. So you have more masculine wines. So the St. Paul is the more feminine one, and the Kammerberg is a little bit more masculine. It's the bigger wine, more tannins, more structure. And like I said, the vinification is all exactly the same.
Yeah.
But the wines are very, very different. So they all have their very specific characters. Yes, drink as much as you can. Try as many different Pinot Noirs as you can from all over the world. There's more and more very good Pinot Noirs out there. And I think Germany is just getting started. So there's a lot much more to expect from Germany. And yeah, be open-minded, try everything, and spread the word of good German Pinot Noir. And I hope to see you in Japan, maybe this year. I really hope to be able to come to Japan. And yes, see you there. And if you're in Germany, visit us. We are here. You're welcome, all right?
Yeah, thank you.
Take care, guys, and see you soon, all right? Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
私たちは、この4月5月、ベッカーバッカーズというタイトルで、ベッカーさんの、応援キャンペーンのようなものを組んでおります。今回はですね、なんと、ちょっとしたアンバサダー制度のようなものを今年は設けておりまして、ベッカーさんを応援してくださる方に、勝手ながらヘレンベルガーホーフの方から、2つの認証をお渡しいたします。一つはですね、ベッカーバッカーズという企画なんですけれども、ベッカーバッカーズという認証号がございます。ベッカーさんのワッペンバッジをつけていただける。ベッカーさんのこのまさに狐の形のバッジを差し上げるという、認証バッジになっております。で、もう一つがですね、ベッカーバッカーズ最高峰として、ベッカーアンバサダーという認証をご用意させていただきました。ベッカーアンバサダーですね。もうベッカーワインのことなら何でも来いという、ある意味、証の一つであるんですけれども、ベッカーさんのですね、狐金バッジをご用意して、ソムリエバッジと同様に、お仕事中にこちら、襟元につけていただいて、私こそベッカーのアンバサダーですよという、一つの称号をご用意させていただいております。このベッカーアンバサダー、この4月、5月にベッカーバッカーズ&ベッカーアンバサダー、日本全国で募集しております。これをご覧いただいている、飲食店の方、もしくは、主販店の方、ぜひですね、もしご興味がありましたら、ベッカーさんのアンバサダーになるにはどうしたらいいんだと。ベッカーさんのことをもっと知るにはどうしたらいいんだと。それぞれの担当、私どもヘレンベルガーホーフの営業担当にどしどしと、お尋ねください。できるだけのお手伝いをさせていただいて、ベッカーさんのすべてをご理解いただいた上で、この春、もう何回もベッカーって言いましたね。ベッカーワインをお勧めいただけると大変ありがたく思っております。
ご視聴いただきありがとうございます。チャンネル登録、コメントお待ちしております。また お会いしましょう。